Hey guys, welcome back to The Awakening Artist. My name is Dana, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 steps you can use to connect to and call in the creative muse to use in your creative practice. And this is going to help you guys open up the channels in your work and your play and just really heighten the energy in your creations. So stick around to the end of the video and you're going to learn the 5 steps to connect with the Divine Creative Muse, to call her in and to work with her to heighten your creative practice. So let's get into it. Okay, so I talk about the muse a lot in my content, in my videos, right? And I'm like, the muse this and the muse told me that. And it's probably, for a lot of people, it's probably like, well, what is the muse? Like, what even is that, right? So a lot of people are accustomed to the muse through art history, okay? So we see even if you're not an artist, you may have seen the kind of stereotypical like French painter painting out in his garden pavilion with a beautiful naked woman laying in the roses, and he is referring to her as, "You are my muse," right? That's an example of the muse and how she's shown up for artists. So for a lot of artists, it's like the muse. I believe the muse ultimately is this beautiful androgynous, just purely creative energy. But for me, the muse comes in as a she. She's like, I think of her as the divine feminine creatrix. She's like this divine feminine force. She's like the smell of the flowers through the breeze. She's a drop of water. Like, she is flowing, she is feminine, she is beautiful, and she flows through and inside of all of our creative practices and all of our creations. It's like the divine feminine, the life-giving creative essence, the motherly essence within us that is expressed as the muse. So what I like to do in my creative practice is I see the muse as this embodiment of a feminine creative force that can be an ally for me in my studio practice, that I can work with, and really that she can work with me and through me if I call her in, if I open myself as a channel, if I open the space. So that's just a little spiel about what and who the muse is for me. And so you can tune into, when you connect to the muse, you can tune into what that feels like for you and who you feel comes in that space, and just get to know it, because likely it's your own deepest expressive creativity, right? But it's also this, I think of her as this universal life force, like a fractal or a manifestation of the Earth Mother in one of her creative facets. Sorry, my phone keeps buzzing. Shut up. And so you can call her in to work with her. So next we're just gonna talk about the 5 steps that you guys can go into to call in the creative muse and to work with her. And I just want to say one more note, while we're here, is that ever since I really started calling in and working with and honoring the muse, the feminine force of creativity, it has completely changed my studio practice. It has heightened my channeling sessions. It's made it so that I can accomplish 5 times the amount of work in a fraction of the time. And there are just so many incredible benefits to working with and calling in this energy. And it makes me think of Pressfield. He's an incredible writer. If you guys haven't read The War of Art, that's like the #1 book I recommend to artists. The War of Art, he talks about everything he does. He says everything he does, it is with and for the muse. So he is constantly working with the muse, almost ceremonially, ritualistically. When he writes, he's calling in her energy to channel through him. And that's how he's written some of his most profound books, that a lot of them are themed around powerful women. So if you guys want a deeper look into that, definitely check out Pressfield. So now the 3 steps, okay, or 5 steps. So one, you want to set a ceremony space, or if ceremony, depending on your background, if that feels uncomfortable for you, what I really mean is just set a container for yourself, okay? And if I can figure out how to do this, I'm still a little new at this shit, so I'm gonna try to figure out, I'm gonna link a video for opening a ceremony or a ritual of creativity. You can watch that for some help with that process, or you can just find it on my channel. But anyway, so setting a container for yourself. What this really means is, think about the muse is like this beautiful, how do I want to describe her right now? Okay, well, she's like this beautiful woman, right? And you want to, even platonically, you want to have a date with this beautiful woman. You're not going to just call her up on the phone and be like, yo, I think you want to just like meet me at my like dining table in like 5. I don't even really want to be there, but like, hey, what up, you know? Or do you want to invite her in and say, hello, beautiful priestess. Hello, beautiful queen. I've set up this space for you, even if great if it's in a room, if you have the room to yourself, doesn't have to be a room, but just a set space. Like, think about this energy of like, hello, priestess of creativity. I have set this container for you to come in and greet me with your essence. The muse loves sensory experiences. So like, I always have fresh roses and Palo Santo and copal and like sage smells and crystals and things that I find stimulating in the senses. And so I'm inviting her into this space where I'm like, hey, I have candle offerings, I have flowers, like I have smokes and incenses. I'm calling in your divine feminine essence and force to help me with this channeling that I'm doing. And the muse, it's like, she knows her standards, she knows her boundaries, and she knows her worth. And she's like, okay. And more than that, she just responds to energy. So the more energy you put in towards setting this container and welcoming her in, then it's like this energy, she's gonna come in and she's gonna, I know this may be a little woo for y'all, but probably not. If you're following me and you listen to my shit, then this is like right up your alley, I'm sure. But, oh shit, I lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you channel sometimes. It's just like, muse, setting a container. Yes. Okay. So okay, we're going to bring it back around. So bringing in like, sacred tools, like I was just talking about, the sensory experiences, like the flowers and the smokes and the incenses and all of that. And I go deep into this in my video for creating a ceremony or ritual for your work. You can watch that. But just set the container, set the space. Like, you want to take this divine creative priestess out on a date in a beautiful creative setting. Okay, the muse is going to appreciate that. Your inner muse will appreciate that. So the second step is understanding that the creative muse, she lives within you and she is activated through you, okay? So you can activate her through dance, through movement, like we were just talking about, bringing in different healing tools, but you can start to get her energy moving within you by just tapping into your own sensuality, your own play, your own creativity with your body, with your movement, with listening to dance, listening to music, and like starting to kind of open the channels within you to be able to work with this kind of energy. So the third step, and this is probably the most important part of the process, is before you're going into your creative practice, you're going to say an opening prayer to call her in, to channel through you and with you. And this can look different for everyone, but like if I was to give an example, and this, I think I go into this as well in the ceremony ritual for your art, but an opening prayer with the muse can be, I'll light a candle for my work and I'll say something like this. So, calling in the muse, calling in the divine feminine forces of creation, calling in the divine masculine forces of creation, calling in the inner child essence of creation, opening this beautiful channel of creativity, bringing in the most powerful, whatever you're doing, painting, drawing, writing, whatever, bringing the most powerful painting that is channeling through me with the assistance of the Muse. Muse, beautiful creatrix, please work with me and through me to bring through the most powerful creation at this time. Protecting and blessing this channel. This channel for creativity is now open. Okay, so you can say something like that as an opening prayer to then bring the energy in. So that leads into our how many is this? 4. So that leads into our 4th step, which is opening yourself as a channel. And now I'm going to go into this more in my videos because I think we sometimes have a negative connotation with what it means to channel, because, and I'm not going to go in a rabbit hole here about this, but some people, you can use channeling in a negative way. People can channel negative spirits. People can channel negative energies. Like, all of these things are real, like the energetic possession and surrendering your control and all of that. Like, those things are real. Those things are things you actively have to like vibrationally align with and seek out. And it's just like not a good idea. And you know what it is though. You know when you're working with like a darker energy, but that's not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is we're opening and relaxing our vessel to allow pure love to flow through us. Nothing but love. And that love is translated in the form of what we're calling the Muse, divine creativity, sparks of inspiration. In the little prayer we just did, I do this little thing at the end, like blessing and protecting this channel, because it's really about your intention when you're channeling. You can channel anything, but like I said, what we're talking about here is we're channeling love. We're channeling creativity. And so when we open these channels like I'm talking about, that's all we're doing. We're just opening ourselves to be vessels of love. And so as you open yourself to a channel, then you can let her waters flow into your creations. And sometimes this is going to manifest as being really unexpected in really unexpected ways. So a lot of times when I call in the Muse, then I'm like painting, I'm channeling, I'm in this flow. And then all of a sudden I like trip on my easel and I splash across the canvas and I'm like, oh fuck, I just fucked it up. And then I take a step back and I'm like, oh, hold up. That was exactly what I needed to just happen right there. And I didn't even know that I needed to do that until, okay. And then I'm always like, thank you guys. Like, thank you, Muse. Because then it's like when we open ourselves in this beautiful, high vibrational way to channel these creative energies, then they can come through and they might just boop, have something kind of fly out that's ultimately going to be for the highest good of the piece. So the last part of step 4 is just, once you open yourself with this beautiful like channeling, then just witnessing and allowing and like staying loose, like shake up the energy. This does take some practice to like get kind of loose and move into, but just practice like surrendering a little control. If you find yourself like you get too perfectionist with it and in your head and it's like you shut down the channel and the creative energy is like the Muse is like, I can't get you through your hand, you're like blocking it off. Then a lot of times I just try to practice like, well, I fucked that up. Those eyes look weird as shit, but I just laugh at it and I'm like, well, try again, I guess. And like, just keep going. Like, don't take it so seriously. You can always fix it. So like, just try to stay open. The 5th step, which is just as important just as important as the opening, is the closing. Because the way we end something says a lot about our continuation with this practice. So we want to, when you feel like the channel is good, you're done for the day, you still feel good, you're not like drained, but you're ready to close, then what I like to do is I just like to take a moment in front of my creation and say some thanks. So thank you to my higher self, my guides, my angels. Thank you to the Muse, the divine forces of creativity, for working with me and through me today. Bless this channel. Thank you so much. This channel of creativity is now closed. Okay, and if you don't close the channel, like if you open a channel of creativity and you don't close it, then like good luck sleeping is all I can say. Like it's not gonna hurt you or anything, but like you're probably gonna be getting a lot of downloads, a lot of information, and it's gonna be real hard to sleep. So I would recommend if you open a channel of creativity, like close it after, and just saying like giving thanks and reverence to the Muse. For her coming to work with you, and this is going to help you start to build a relationship with the Muse energy. Like at this point, it's like a lot of times I feel like I'm just hanging out with this divine feminine embodiment of the Muse, and I'm like, I'll have like conversations with her, and I'll be bringing her into the space, and it's like feels like this friendship that's forming with ultimately with my own creative aspects. So if you guys found this helpful, be sure to click the subscribe button for more creative content. And yeah, it was so fun dropping into this with you guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.